Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott, I'm the Emperor of Stomaria, and today I'm very pleased to announce that the Kingdom of Lithua has become an ally of the Empire of Stomaria. So while the Empire of Stomaria is still very much looking to incorporate other micronations into the empire itself as observer states, as associated states, or as protectorates, we have nevertheless been more lenient with allowing other micronations to become associated with Stomaria as formal allies, assuming that there is mutual real-world benefit to be had. And this is the case with Lithua. Now, Lithua is also known as the Isle of Lithua. In fact, they're more commonly known as the Isle of Lithua. But Princess Claire, who I have had a conversation about this with, says that the Kingdom of Lithua is a name that they do use themselves. In fact, some of their merchandise or some of their products that they recently produced but hasn't actually advertised to the general public yet, it actually says Kingdom of Lithua. And I prefer the term kingdom over isle because I feel like isle is a bit too limiting. I feel like kingdom better expresses their sort of government type, their style, their structure, and also means that in the case where property might be acquired elsewhere outside of the island which they have, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to say Isle of Lithua, from my perspective anyway. So going forward, we will refer to them as the Kingdom of Lithua unless I am told different. Now, we had a meeting with Princess Claire a few evenings ago. And when I say we, I mean myself, King Raoul of Wayward, Prince Alexander of Moreland, and Queen Neve of Seleucia, who are all, they all form a part of the Empire of Stomaria. And so I wanted to involve them in the, not interview process as such, but to allow all of the Micronational leaders there to get to know one another. Because building that friendship, that relationship, that real world relationship, that can't happen simply by text and email. That needs to happen face to face. And at the moment, that will be through video calls. However, the royal family of Wayward and the imperial family of Stameria will actually be visiting Lithua at the end of the month as a part of this new alliance, part of this aspiration to build a real-world community and a trade network. Now, in terms of the trade network itself, Lithua, as an island, with fishing rights, they do have the ability to fish trout and salmon, as well as making wines. The royal family of Lithua has a process of making white wines. So white wine, trout and salmon are the things that they will be exporting to Stameria, certainly in the immediate term. And they will be receiving silver Stamerian status in exchange, which is great because, like all of the micronations within the Empire of Stomaria, they also recognize the Stamerian status as a medium of exchange, as legal tender for their micronation, if you like. And this isn't particularly hard for micronations to do because silver, obviously, regardless of what's stamped on it, has value in the macronational world. This is why I don't like fiat currency. This is why I prefer commodity money. And this is why we strive to build a monetary system based on commodity money, based on sound money, based on things like gold and silver, where the value of the money is derived from the commodity itself, rather than just the promise that it has value. Now, as well as this trip, as well as this trade agreement, we are producing some artwork for Lithua, and this is to our benefit as well as their own, I'm sure. We are going to be making various, or will have already made various posts or comments about this to promote Lithua, to promote their website, their YouTube channel, their Patreon, because like Stameria, like Molossia, like Moreland, like Wayward, they use Patreon to allow supporters to become involved in the project, and they use the funds principally as a way of promoting their conservationist policies and values and objectives on the island which they have. Because for those that don't know, the Kingdom of Lithua, they have an island in between two rivers, and this came about, as I understand it, when Princess Claire and her brother, Prince John, got rather merry one night and said, why don't we form a country? And so they did. And they, as children, as I understand it, used to sort of play on the island from time to time. And they didn't know who it belonged to. So they looked it up, and apparently it was unregistered. So I'm not sure what the process is, but they registered it, so now they have an island. And they use it to promote conservationist ideals. So large parts of Lithua are dedicated to local wildlife, which is fantastic. But there are some parts of it that can be utilised, I suppose, particularly the equivalent of the coastline. It's not the coast, but the island edge, I guess, to actually fish for the trout and salmon during the appropriate seasons. Now, I've already forgotten what I was talking about in that sense, but they are an absolute monarchy as well. So their government structure is very much aligned with our own. They are a hereditary monarchy at that, but so there's no sort of democracy or anything like that to it. So they've got a very similar structure in terms of government. They've got a very similar structure in terms of sort of citizen recruitment or the ability for supporters to fund the project. They've got a similar aspiration in building real-world communities, in building a trade network, in reducing reliance on the Micronations, which we are a part of, in this case the United Kingdom. They are geographically relatively close by, and I say relatively in the sense that it's still some 3 hours or more to actually drive there, a trip that I'm both looking forward to and dreading, depending on whether or not little Princess Helena comes with us, for obvious reasons. But the proximity is a lot closer than, say, anywhere in mainland Europe or in the United States or Australia. So micronations within the British Isles are micronations that we are looking to establish closer ties with, because it is easier for us to build that real world community, that real world connection, that real world trade network. And yeah, as I said, I will be talking about Lithua a little bit more going forward. I am hoping to foster a relationship with them. They are not likely to become involved in Stameria as an observer state, or more specifically as an associated state, because they have the island. Because they do have relations with a lot of other micronations, some quite reputable ones, some that I have a lot of time for. Because of their sort of, I mean, there might be single issue micronations, but I think sort of environmentalist micronations I have a lot of time for, frankly. Because again, that is, one of the things that we strive to do is become a more ecological society, to promote environmentalism, green energy, renewable energy, all that sort of thing. But that's not all we are, and that's the difference. But one of the conditions of becoming a part of Stameria, obviously, is that foreign relations, foreign affairs, these are things that are dictated by the Stamerian central governing body, in the sense that, in a macronational sense, if you think of Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland and England as a part of a union, but the UK government dictates foreign policy, it's not the Welsh Assembly or the Scottish Parliament that dictates relations or has different relations with other nations around the world in any sort of significant way. I mean, they might sort of interact in some form or another, but nothing, no treaties are signed between Scotland and France that aren't approved by the UK government. It's just it would be dysfunctional if that was the case, because every individual nation within that union would have different relations with other micronations, and then what is the union? And the same is the same. The same is the it's the same with Stameria, in the sense that we need all the micronations within the Empire of Stomaria to be subservient on that level, because we need to have control over the foreign policy. But otherwise, in terms of culture and identity, internal governance, relations with other micronations within the Empire of Stomaria, those are entirely, they're at liberty to do what they like with those things. So so for that reason, I don't think Lithua will become integrated into Stameria that way, because they have a lot of relations with a lot of other micronations, and it would be a big ask for them to cut those ties. But that's fine, because they are a micronation that is looking to add value to Stameria, and that at the end of the day is all we're interested in. We're interested in what we can offer them and what they can offer us. If it's not tangible, if it's not real, if it's not practical or cost effective, then there's no point in pursuing it. But all of the above is very much in hand. It's very much a reality that we are going to be living very soon. It's only going to be a few weeks now until we actually visit them. And hopefully in June, I'm hoping for representatives from Lithua to actually visit the Kingdom of Wayward, along with Prince Alexander from Moreland. So again, this is all very exciting. This is all micronations within the British Isles coming together to form closer ties, closer bonds for real world benefit, for a real world change. And I don't think there's much more to it than that. I mean, I look forward to working with Princess Claire and King Graham. I suppose that's the only thing I wanted to touch upon as well, is that they're very much a family-orientated micronation, in the sense that Princess Claire and her brother Prince John, who is the Crown Prince as I understand it, they're very much the driving force of Lithua. But the King and Queen are, even though they have to sort of sign off on diplomatic relations and trade agreements and all the rest of it, they're very much behind the scenes. Which is fine. It doesn't really have any impact on the real world goings on in terms of the relations, in terms of the trade agreements or whatever else. But everything will have to be formally passed through King Graham as opposed to Princess Claire, even though it is Princess Claire that we will have in most of our face-to-face dealings, I suspect. And certainly all the interactions I've had via email or message and everything has been Princess Claire. So I think she is predominantly the driving force behind this. But as I say, I suppose a lot like Moreland, they are very much a family-orientated micronation, which are now looking to sort of branch out a bit further, and we look forward to helping them along the way. So yeah, if you wanted to become a part of the Stamerian community, if you wanted to get in touch with us in some form in order to, build those bridges where they are appropriate to actually build, then do get in touch and let us know. You can become a citizen through our Patreon campaign, the link of which I shall leave in the description below as always. You can also find the details of the micronations involved with Stameria there as well, so if you want to research or even join them, then please feel free to do so. Otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then please feel free to give the video a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.